Hello again, it is me, Chase, gonna do some more chess puzzles. And what I wanted to do first, before I jump into chess puzzles again, is I have to look at a puzzle I did on my last video, the one you're looking at right here. I just redid the position. Um, and I had to really quickly look at this position because I'd suggested a move which was try to get your king out of danger from checks by going to a5, and that actually is a blunder, a really big blunder because, and I didn't notice it. And it's the same problem for no, it's not a problem with that, but yeah, I guess there's not a big problem with that one, but it's a big problem if we went here. The reason why this is a problem is if we're going to hear this is actually a fork, and I didn't realize it until after the video. And that's and that's really, really, really bad for black. So obviously the better move was this, but then of course, oh, this position's all messed up too. It's all backwards, but you get the idea. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like it, um, it's supposed to flip the board and then do it. But anyways, just wanted to go through that real quick. You get the idea. Because, okay, so once again, if I actually wouldn't hear a5, that actually was a blunder because that would be a fork. And, really, really, really bad for me. So anyways, let's go on to Lichess and do some of the puzzles on Lichess. I don't have a ton of experience in the puzzles in Lichess's puzzles. Which means I'm typically going to start from the bottom, and I think that's really kind of cool because then we can go through puzzles, the easiest, I guess, forms of puzzles. However, we're starting out with something that you got to really think a little bit about here. Sometimes these open positions in an endgame can be challenging because there's a lot of things that can happen, and it can be difficult to see what the best move is going to be. So in this position here, what did we just lose? Well, we lost a knight right here. So in this position, we are obviously not in the best of situations, but it's not terrible either. I can kind of see a path forward here. Now, what we have to think about is black has a bishop. We don't have any minor pieces. We just got 3 pawns. That's all we got. However, while we only have 3 pawns and he's got a bishop, he has only 2 pawns. So we are down material, but not a whole lot. And I think we can make up for this position. And you might look at, oh, well, this black's king is over here and stuff. But that's actually not a good idea in a position like this. In a position like this, you want your king to be active and to actually kind of where the action's at. And right now, he's not really towards the action. When there's like rooks and there's bishops and there's queens on the board on like a bunch of pawns, yeah, then you want to keep your king away from stuff like that typically. But in a position like this, we don't got any queens. We don't got any rooks. We got a couple pawns. That's about it. Your king's not in a ton of danger. My king's definitely not in a lot of danger right now. He's got a lot of places he can go to and just escape this if he wants to. But I don't want to do that. I want to keep my king here with my pawns because the idea here in this position, if you're white, and if you're black, you want to try and get a promotion. There's really no checkmate. There's just trying to either A, completely destroy your opponent's pieces so they just can't win, or B, just get them to resign, which either way, it's the same thing. So, so in this position, what we want to think about here, again, when we're playing puzzles, we want to think about our position. What are our advantages? What are our disadvantages? How do we, those are the things we want to think about. So, what I'm seeing right now is I can't capture this bishop because it's guarded by the pawn. I cannot capture the pawn because it's guarded by the bishop. So that's would be considered a significant strength for black. And a weakness for me is probably this pawn right here. This pawn's undefended. The bishop can take this. However, the problem with taking that pawn is I could then just take that pawn. However, then he can just take that with a check. And now I got to move my king maybe over here. And then I can go after this pawn. I could probably actually just go here and hit both. So it's actually not a great situation for black, but still we want to try to play the best move, I think. And so I think the best move is probably going to be h4. I could be wrong. So the idea I want to do is I want to go h4. If he takes, we can take back right here. Then we can push up this and threaten this pawn. And that's a pretty bad problem for black because you kind of have to take and then you lose your last pawn. Well, you could probably just lose it to this. And I don't even have to take that necessarily. I can just take the bishop because the bishop will no longer be guarded. So I think this is going to be our best move. Yes, and there we go. So he takes back. That's probably the best move, the only thing he can do. And there we go. So this is now a completely lost position for black. You can't win this because eventually I'm going to be pushing up right here. There's no way you're going to stop both those pawns with my king of support, and you're eventually going to lose one of the pawn or the bishop, if not both of them. All right, so now in this position, okay, it's a little bit more of a scenario, you might say. Excuse me. All right. Sorry. All right, so now in this position, we got more pieces on the board, and you see the big disadvantage we have as black is we don't have a queen, and our opponent has a queen. But again, you can still win if you make the right moves. So I see right now, I see a couple of opportunities, I see a couple of options, but again, let's examine the position. Right now, white is hitting this pawn, which is hanging. If he takes this pawn out now, I can't really take this pawn, so it doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, it's just, you still don't want to be just losing material left and right like that. They're not trying to say anything about that. Like that's an okay thing, but it's not something I'm thinking too much about because right now I got two rooks that are connected. That's always a good thing, and then I got a knight here. The knight is unguarded. However, there's not a lot you can threaten the knight with right now. If you try to go queen here, I can just check, and that's a fork on both. So the queen would have to take back, and then you lose your queen. However, I do lose a knight, and the game is pretty much even at that point. So you definitely don't want to hit the knight with this. You might be able to hit it with this, but I could still do something that I'm thinking about here. And what I'm kind of thinking about is a couple of things. There's a fork right here on the queen and the rook, which is a good idea. I mean, that's, you're winning one of those two pieces. That's a great, I'd take that for sure. But again, we ask the question, is that the best move? Is that the best option for us? Because it's not necessarily going to win us the game. It's going to let us kind of even things up a little bit. So once we go here and we hit this queen and the rook, we'll probably win the rook. You're going to save the queen if you're going to pick one of them. And so the queen is going to move somewhere. I don't know where. There's a couple of ideas. So we could do that. But I'm thinking, what if I checked right here? What if I went for a check right there? And now the king has to go this way. He can't legally go there because of this rook. And he can't take the rook back because of the knight. So once he goes to this square right here, then we can just maybe, we can go for like I don't know. Can we go for a check right here? I don't know, because if we got to visualize here, if after this and then we go for a check right here, he's gonna take that back, and if I take back with the knight, then I lose my rook right here, and so that's so I'm thinking maybe actually the better option. So that's not going to work. So the better option actually is going to be rook checks on D. I just saw it right now. It's going to be rook checks on D1. When this rook captures back, we're actually going to recapture it, and that's actually going to be checkmate. So you'll see right here, takes, and that's actually checkmate because the king can't go back over here because the rook's guarding this, and the knight's actually guarding this square, not allowing the rook, the king to come up here, and the rook is now guarding this one. So that's actually a mate. So that's the best move for us. We found it. Awesome deal. What happened here? We lost a knight. It looks like black is daring us to take that back. So what are our options here? So we could, again, let's look at the position. Queen right here. That could potentially become dangerous, depending on how we move our rooks here. If we, let's see, he takes, take back right here. This could become a problem for sure. That could become a checkmate right there. So that's something we want to keep an eye on. Again, we can just capture that if we want to, but once again, that runs into this, and that's going to be actually checkmate. So he's actually wants us. He's like, go ahead, take my bishop. I don't care. Go ahead and take it. Not only has he taken a knight, he's also done what's called a discover attack. So what the discovered attack is this bishop sitting right here, and it's blocking these rooks from actually seeing the other rooks right here. But once the bishop moves, now the rooks are seeing this, and this can create a double problem for your opponent or for you. You saw that in the last puzzle we did. The very first puzzle was actually kind of like a pin, but so it's a little bit similar, not exactly, but anyways. I don't think we're really dealing with too much with what's going on up here. That's not the big problem. The big problem is the actions right here. So that's what we want to pay attention to. This knight's safe. We don't got to worry about that knight right now. The real problem is F1. Black wants to checkmate me on F1. So I have to ask the question: what's the better option here? If I capture here, I'm going to get checkmated immediately right here. Can I capture with the bishop? I mean the king. I could. I don't see anything inherently wrong with that. There is also this. I can actually capture this, but the thing is, he's going to capture back, and then I can actually capture again. Now, why play this move? Because can't he capture with the pawn? Actually, no, because the pawn is pinned by the king. So use those pins to your advantage. So I'm thinking right now, actually, this is the way for me to win 2 rooks, and I get out of it. I keep 1 rook alive. And that's actually going to be a real good for me. Not to mention, there's actually a check right here while my rook will be sitting right here. And I think that might actually be checkmate. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this. Okay, he goes for that. Now, this can present us a bit of a problem. But the obvious move is we have to capture right here. So what we're going to do here is so you saw what our plan was. Our plan was to basically force this, but that's actually not what he does. He actually plays a move that's actually not that bad because it loses both my rooks. However, it's still losing for him because we're going to recapture. He's going to capture right there, and he's going to be able to maintain a rook. However, he loses the bishop and his queen and a rook, and that's just pretty much a lost game here for black. So there we go with that one. All right, so now we have this move here. Looks like black wants to try and dare, we can go for a queen trade right here. This is typically the one time you want to trade off your queen is with, you're trading off equal material. Well, the queens are the only 2 pieces on the board that are equal to one another. So, trading queen for queen is typically not a bad idea. However, there are nuances to that as well. Every chess rule has a nuance to it. All right, so in this position, black is offering a queen trade. So if I take, he takes back. The problem with this move, even though it's not a huge problem, because of where they're at on the board, like if this was going on down here, that would be a big problem for me. But up here, the reason what black wants to do is he wants, okay, sure. And he's going to take right here, and then now he's got just a pawn that's just running free down the board. However, I also will have a pawn running down the board. And the problem for black is mine's closer to the promotion board than his is going to be. I'm going to reach it before he does. So that's something I can think about doing here. And I'm actually thinking that that's going to be my better option here. Because you look at these pawns here, they're really not getting past these guys. These guys aren't getting past those guys. Nothing's significant going on over here. The action's over here. However, I also have to watch out for this. This is something I got to be careful for. So I don't have to go for the trade. I can go for check right here. And then I can just go ahead and take that pawn. And now I'm hitting this pawn. And then, I'm also hitting his queen, which is now hanging. And now you can't capture this because then I capture your queen, and now this goes, and the game is over. So I think the better move for me, actually, given everything we just looked at, I think the better option for me is going to be b7 check. Nope, that's not going to be it. So maybe it's going to be the trade, and then we can just go ahead and push forward here. And there we go. We got the promotion. All right, so we missed it. It's okay. Typically that happens. You miss it, and you just go for it again. You can also, by the way, after you missed it, you can go to the analysis board and see why that wasn't the right move, and that's how you learn. This is how we learn how to play chess. Okay, so in this position, we are playing as white. Black just made a move. Looks like black is going after this pawn right here. So we have a bishop and we have a rook right now. We can decide to save this pawn with rook to a4, but we want to try to think about too is what black will respond with. Now, by the way, a2 is also threatening a discovered attack on the bishop, but I'm not really thinking too much about that because the a pawn, the c pawn here is not getting past his c pawn. It's just what is this like? And then I go here, and he's just going to move his bishop. Like, that's not going to really do much for me. Taking this is actually much more interesting to me because it takes that, but it also takes it with a check. Now, before you make a move like that, by the way, you want to think about, is this guarded? A lot of new players make these big mistakes, especially in in-game scenarios with long-range pieces on the board, like bishops and rooks. Like I've seen it so many times. The guy goes, "Oh, look, free pawn," and there was actually a bishop hiding somewhere on the other side of the board, and a lot of new players are not really focusing on the entire board. They're focusing on like a small little area. They get tunnel vision on a little area. You got to be careful for that. Now, however, this pawn is not guarded by anything, so it's actually hanging. So we'll take that, and it's actually a check as well. King can't take this because my bishop's guarding that. So he's going to have to move maybe somewhere right here. That gives a king a little bit more active. But, that's actually not a bad idea for us because then we can actually move this pawn up and we can get a promotion. And the king can't touch it because the rook would be preventing him. So that's one thing we can think about. Are there any other things we can think about? Right now, honestly, I don't even know. We don't want to hit this pawn because he's guarded by the bishop here. I'm thinking this is going to be the best option for us. And there he goes with that. And now here's the thing. Before we go for rook, this is a potential promotion. We'll actually end up just losing our bishop right now because our bishop's actually under attack. So what's the best move for us here? Do we want to lose our bishop? We can. It's not a bad idea. You give up a bishop, you get a queen and a rook. That's an easy win in a game like this. But can we find a better move? And I'm starting to think, what if we go play rook to e7, check? The rook would be guarded by the pawn. The bishop's guarded by the rook. And where's the king going to go? He can't go here. He can't go there. He can go here, though. That's where he can go. So that's one thing he can do. Hold on one second. All right, so yeah, we can play check right here. The king will be able to escape right there. But then we can begin to go for that promotion right now if we want to. But before we do that, we want to look at threats. Are there any other threats on the board? There's check right here. But it's a bit of an annoyance, That's about it. So that's something we got to think about. But I'm thinking check. Okay, so we got right there. Now at this point, I just don't see anything other than maybe going for that promotion, trying to promote right there. So we're going to keep going. All right, there we go. Yeah, so cool. Very, very nice. Let's do one more, and then we'll just call it here. All right, in this position, I'm already seeing big problems here for black and ways we can go about doing this. All right, so when we're playing puzzles, let's look at the position. We are down significantly on pawns. We only got 2 pawns right here. That can be a problem for us. Even though we have a queen, that can be a problem for us. I've seen people just mess these up so badly. And so we want to think about that, just being careful in this point in the game. So when we look at this position, we have a knight under attack, but it is defended. I don't know why I did that. It is defended by the queen. So, and if we take back, we're also hitting these two. So it's actually a pretty bad situation for black. Of course, if we take back, he can always just guard that with the rook. He can also move his bishop. So right now, our king is fairly safe. Even though he's out in the open, that's actually not a bad thing in this position. Not too bad. So I'm not too worried about threats on my king right now. Black needs to be much more worried because again, he's got a queen very uncomfortably close right now, and this very active knight can do a lot of things here. You can take too, but that's not going to really win you any favors. In fact, you can just take back with the bishop and then discard this crucial a g7 square. But it's not the only crucial square. So, but We also want to make sure we're also thinking about these. I mean, you can eventually pass pawn these. I mean, these are all just running free. Rook in the corner here, cannot lose track of that. He's maybe way off in the corner, but I mean, it's a long range piece. It doesn't take a whole lot for a rook in a situation like this to become very active. So, but we want to remember here, we have a king queen here, also actually under attack, by the way. I just realized that. We want to think about here, apart from this, queen under attack, knight under attack, we want to think about the fact that we have a pin right here. This pawn is pinned. So we can take advantage of that. We can push this pawn forward. But the problem is we're going to lose our queen for absolutely nothing. So we don't want to do that. That's obviously not going to be the move. We can also go for check right here. We can go for a knight's check. And the king cannot move over here because the queen and the knight. So they obviously, the legal move, only legal move would be this right here. Legal move. And then we can, let's see here. I think then we can just go for there. I think that would be checkmate right there. So, it seems like that's going to be our best move, forced mate 2. So we're going to play knight to f6, check, and I think we're going to go here, and there's mate. So, cool. You know, just a couple more puzzles. This is on Lichess or Lichess, however you want to pronounce it, tomatoes.org. Another great website to got cool, all kinds of cool lessons you can learn chess. But really, if you're trying to keep it simple, not get too complicated into the theory and stuff like that, it's the puzzles. Just play the puzzles. The puzzles are really great exercises to learn chess. All right, so that's just another small little video. I will talk to you all later. Bye.